Hi, Larry in California, W6WUH. Well, as it always happens, anytime you work on a piece of vintage mobile gear, like we're doing here with the Rogers Black Widow, you find yourself in need of a cable. And often they'll come with a cable that's poorly made, or made wrong, or not made right for your circumstances, or no cable at all, which was the case here. So the Black Widow had a recessed male small 6-pin Cinch Jones plug. I didn't have a female for it, but another ham had a couple of chassis mount Cinch Jones plugs that would fit. So I had to take one of these chassis mounts and file off the head of the rivet that holds this together and take these mounting tabs off. And then I stupidly tried to drive the pin out using this snap punch, which proved to be a big mistake. On the plugs with caps, there's a little pin like this. Where are you, pin? Rolling away. A little pin like this, and it holds the cap on. And you just drive it out a little bit with a drift, and then you pull it out with a pair of pliers. It's got a little bit of knurled business for about a quarter of an inch or an eighth of an inch. It holds it in. Well, I tried to do that with this pin with the shell on it, and of course the pin did not want to come out. I got the sides off okay, and I kept trying to take the damn pin out, and I ended up cracking the female plug right there, and I had to glue it back together and put some tape on it for reinforcement, and then I'll put the shell on here that I robbed from this male, and those things together will give it enough reinforcement to hold together. But anyway, you know, at some point you end up not doing electronic stuff as much as you're doing mechanical stuff. And here's all the tools I had to have. Doggone half-inch drill to drill a hole in this cap. It had no hole at all, and unfortunately has no strain relief. And a pair of adjustable pliers to hold it, because I don't have a bench vise in here. Got my reamer out in case I have to ream the hole bigger, because I've got a pretty fat cable that's going to go sticking out of there. Utility knife to trim the crud around the edge of the hole so we don't have a bunch of loose sharp stuff hanging there. And golly, I don't know, I used the ball peen hammer in there sometime trying to get that pin out. So this is what happens. Anyhow, we got a couple of new caps in here, and let me turn this around. I always think I'm all prepared, and then I never am. Got the B+ decoupling caps in there, which are the only ones in the high voltage side that I was worrying about wiping out. It's a good thing I replaced it. Take a look at the end of this one, if we can get this focused in there, and you can see the crack in the insulator. I brought this up in 50 volt steps from nothing to 250, then 300 volts. And this is one of the things we got. So I don't know how the other one looks. The other one starting to bulge just a little bit. So I'm glad I took those out. Looking at the filament wiring in here, I discovered that this on-off switch on the volume control is not real positive. And since it's partly soldered together with this choke soldered to the shell, I'm not going to get in there and try to do anything more to it. Like many of these things, it's had a switch. The 2-meter version has another variable capacitor here to tune a tripler, which doesn't exist in the 6-meter one, and a lot of people would put some kind of little function switch in there. Turns out this one is wired to the filament wiring, and it was used to control some external device using the filament voltage. And it comes out to this pin here. So what we did instead is wired the filament into that pin 5 through the switch and then back to pin 3, so we have a way to turn the filaments on and off from the front panel. Okay, getting the tools out of the way here. The important thing was that we were able to wire up a plug that will fit. We'll put the shell on it, and the heat shrink on all the terminals just to make it impossible for anything to short out, and then heat shrink around the two things. This is made out of a couple of pairs of number 16. I wish I'd had a multi-conductor cable, but this is what I had, so that's what we used. And that'll go on with the shell on it. I have a modified HP 23 power supply that I modified for running mobile rigs. And I took the voltage doubler on the 700 volt side, 750 volt side, and turned it into just a full wave bridge. So the B plus went down from 750 to 400, which is just perfect for this and almost any of these little mobile transmitters, HF or VHF. And it'll provide oodles of current, 350 mils of current or more. So this thing will use 180 or 200 mils tops. So we're just loafing along there. And so there we are.